Okay, I should be there. Should be all right. Should be all live. Let me know if you guys can hear me. And I'll just send out this over here. We already have a lot of different tracks for the feedback on stream, so that's nice. In fact, this actually goes way back. We'll start off with some techno today, actually. Nice. Yeah, we already have a lot of songs for today. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess it's not that many. We've had more people submit before the stream even starts, but I like it. I like the fact that you guys do that. It means that I can get straight into it and I don't have to wait for you guys to all join. That being said, if you are joining, let me know if everything is okay, if you can hear everything. I'll just quickly move my mic out of the way so that I can actually see my connection. Also, that is something that I want to change for the new apartment. Once I actually get my new apartment in September, I want to have my setup in such a way that my microphone isn't always in the way of everything on this monitor over here. Yeah. I do want to say one thing before we get started. I'll wait a little bit for some people to join in, I guess. And then I'll explain the sale. For now it is perfect. Thank you. Also welcome to the stream, Enroll. Hoe gaat het? I like that I can sometimes see if people are Dutch by the message that they leave in the feedback stream. Because I know that you're Dutch by the fact that it's Dutch in here from the sharing of the link. Cool image, by the way. I like that. Oh, I didn't check if there's any patrons. I don't think there were any patrons. I would have probably... Yeah, no patrons yet. For those that don't know, who are joining the feedback stream right now, for those that don't know, if you're a Patreon, you get priority in the feedback stream. So I play your track before anybody else. Also, I need to remember to not play this because normally, but this had me curious. And no, I cannot play this on the feedback stream. It's a remix, I think. Like there's a vocal in there, something like that. I think the best way for me to do that is just to delete the message. I'm sorry for that, but that's just how it works. Yeah, this can be removed. As you can see, for anybody joining, the rules are as such. You need to make sure that I have permission to play your stuff on YouTube so that you don't copyright strike me and that kind of stuff. This means you're not allowed to copyright claim the stream on the basis of me playing your music. Do not submit works to which you do not own the full copyright to. This means any remix, bootleg, or edit will not be played. To be honest, I should probably make it so that it's, even if you do own like full copyright, I don't play remixes, edits, and bootlegs and such. Because even then, it's like a gray area. What was there? I don't know what was there. Hello, Virtual Instinct. Welcome. People are joining a little bit slower today, I see. Did the notification go out? From the top of the glass all the yes, way down it did. To the bar. We're gonna vote with... Ooh. Yeah, it did. Did I post... I did also post a message, right? Today at 5, yes. Strange. I guess people will be joining very, very soon. We're just going to start with playing a few tracks, and then when it gets up, the viewership, I'll talk about the promotion that I'm currently running on my Gumroad. So let's just get into it. Let me quickly open up the analyzers, and then we can start listening to the first track here, which is going to be this one here. He is also in the stream already. Goed man, gisteren Mind Expansion gedaan met Play Dark even. I have no... Ik heb geen idee wat dat allemaal is. Anyway, yeah, we're going to start off with Rave on the Railway here by Danny West, also known as TKO Techno. I don't know which one you'd like me to refer to. If you want me to use your Discord name or your artist name, doesn't really matter, to be honest. Maybe you do have a preference in that case, just let me know. Anyway, Rave on the Railway. Let's have a listen. I decided to prepare everything for the stream today. And the only thing I didn't prepare is making sure that the audio went through my headphones. I like the groove. I like the new heads that are currently in here. I don't know if I'm a fan of always having the same kind of feel. And that effect that you're playing here is very, very loud. I feel like here your synths are also a little bit loud.
Do not try to board or leave the train when the doors are closing.
I don't know if this synth is in the right rhythm. It feels like it's a little bit off, that plucky thing that happens like really fast. Doesn't matter. I have this analyzed, but I can't seem to get it to work on my MacBook for whatever reason. It's Windows only, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of the fact that you're always using the same kind of pause method here. You could be a little bit more creative with having different things happening in different parts of the track in terms of the fill. I was hoping the melody would come back in here, and this would be like the really melodic part. As I said, that part over there where it goes ding ding, I'm not really a fan of that. It feels like it's not in the right rhythm. Overall, I would say the kick and bass could be a bit louder, maybe like 1 or 2 dB. I haven't listened to any professional music today, any professional mix to get my ears trained. To be honest, I've been a little bit busy today, so I didn't have time. Usually I do that. But I still think that the mix isn't entirely polished yet here of this one. You know, a little bit of volume extra here, a little bit of volume removed there. Feels like this synth also is like slightly swing while the rest isn't. Maybe not. Strange that it plays only once here. overall, the sound design and the ideas are very, very good. I like it. I like the groove. I like all of the sounds the way that you've created it. I do think you need a little bit more attention to the mix, though. Like stuff like this being, you know, very, very loud, even though it's like just like an effect. It kind of overpowering the kick and bass even at certain points. Overall, though, I do really like the track. Sounds very good. I hope that's helpful. Next up, we have this one over here. I wanted to see if I could play it, you know, in here actually, as somebody last stream suggested that you can do that and it won't have the autoplay like we had right now, where it immediately started playing a new track. Thank you for the feedback, fam. Much appreciated. It was the 3rd song I ever made and almost a year ago. That explains the mix. That's very good, actually. If it's your 3rd song ever made, then that's very well done. Hearing your comments is very illuminating. Thank you. Next up, we have this Amato Corp here. This might have some... Oh, no. It just plays. Why then does this not have the play thing in here? Strange. Okay, we'll just play it in here and I'll have to deal with the autoplay I said open beat off hat, but that's not a thing. It's the other way around. There's strangely few people showing up today. Somebody did say that they did not get a notification. I got no YouTube notification, only Discord. That's very strange. Normally my feedback streams are the most popular. I hope people still realize that I am still live. I mean, it's 5 o'clock on a Sunday, right? Yeah. It is a Sunday. It's not like I'm doing something crazy. Yeah, let's just go through it and see what's up. And see if people continue to join in and it just slowly crawls up or something like that. We'll have to see. Anyway, great track. It sounds very good. As I said, some work on the details still needs to be done, but I think you can figure that out, and I hope that my feedback helps with that. What I would like to show you next is quickly a promo here. Right now on my Gumroad page, you can use code SPRINGSALE24 for 30% off between yesterday and the 5th of May. I'll quickly post my link to my Gumroad profile as well for anybody interested in checking out some of my products, maybe my masterclass, where we have 24 hours of video footage of me producing a full track. So you get to see everything that I do in a production. I have tons of different sample packs, preset packs, and all of that stuff. I have little mini packs that you can just pick up for, at this point, €1 or $1.40, I believe, or something like that. And then I have my remix packs for my whole album, where you can purchase the license to remix one of my songs for just $30 if you're interested in that. So those are all of my products. If you're interested in any of them, go check out the link over here and use code SPRINGSALE24 to get 30% off up until the 5th of May. Also, if you want updates, you can put your email in here and subscribe, and then anytime I have a sale or I have a new product coming out, like the Vital Pack that is coming out very, very soon, you'll be notified. Hey, thank you for the feedback, big guy. Gotcha as backer Patreon man. Thanks for doing it for the community. Thank you. I appreciate all of the support. It is still slowly crawling up, the stream stuff. If you are a backer on Patreon, it should... Yeah, okay, perfect. Now it's showing up. As you can see now, it shows up in red, meaning that since you're a Patreon, we are moving on to you, and you get priority. Because that's how it works. So this is B''RO y'all freaks. I don't know if there's like a stylization to it that I'm mispronouncing it. Maybe like this, but this is the track name, for anybody wondering. Nice dark start here. Nice resampled bassline. You could make the fade a little bit shorter here. It does seem like the first bassline has a little bit of trouble getting its transient through. Overall though, the tonality in the sound is very nice. There is some... I did see some clashing issues. Sometimes you just see like one big spike coming out. Maybe when you have like kick rolls and stuff like that, it's something to look for. You can just check your own waveform as well if you're doing the kick rolls and stuff like that. I always check the waveforms of my tracks to just see if there's no annoying spikes that get in the way when you're mastering. See that stuff that just sometimes jumps up like this over here? In this case there's also lead playing, so you can ignore that. Maybe if you do say like the lead is causing me trouble in the final mastering stage, you can clip the lead before it goes into summing with everything else. I do think maybe that lead is a little bit on the loud side. It seems to distract a little bit from the kick and bass itself, which is obviously not something that you want for sidetrans. I'm not usually a fan of, and in this case as well, I'm not a fan of the break kick and bass being louder or equally loud as the kick and bass of the drop. Personally, what I like to do is anytime that my kick and bass is in a break, I just lower it by 5 dB. So that when the kick and bass comes in for the drop itself, it has that extra bit of impact because it's just louder. It's a great way to make sure that people, you know, when the drop starts and you want people to start dancing, they really feel like, oh wait, something is happening. It gets louder, it gets more exciting, it gets more powerful, and then, you know, you really get them in the track and in the drop, and you really get them excited to dance, essentially. I never finished that thought. Here, this atmosphere that's playing here feels a little bit loud. Here again, it just randomly stops like that. I didn't pause it or anything like that, it just stops. For some reason there was no autoplay, which is interesting. Good bass groove though. I like that you're commenting that on your own track, because this was your track. Right? You are the same Enroll Deville here as you are in the YouTube chat, I assume. But I believe, yeah, we played your track. I hope the feedback is helpful. It sounded really good. A little bit darker than what I'm used to, but still very, very nice. Now we'll scroll back up. We did this one, so we are here now. Nearly done with this one. Needs a solid mix still, plus bits and bobs here and there. Okay. Party on Mars 146 in A. And it already has 1 like. So this should be good. It looks nicely mastered, the waveform. I like that when it's like that. It means that people are close to at least finalizing a track. Hello, Sai. Welcome, welcome.
Strap yourselves in. We're going to Mars.
Vocal is nice in the foreground. I like that. You've given it enough space for it to do its thing. I like the kick and bass coming in like this. I hope that you're actually making it louder as well. It doesn't become louder, but you're high passing it so you still have that impact effect. That's nice. It's also resampled, I think, looking at just the waveform. It does still look like you have the same issue where there's maybe one filter on the master somewhere. Or not. I think you just are you just LFO tooling it? Because the kick looks clean, but the next bass transients don't. It looks like you're just LFO tooling it. In that case, I would recommend you resample it instead. Kick and bass is nice. I do agree, yes. Sounds very nice. My downstairs neighbors. Sorry. Hat could be a little bit. The hats could be a little bit louder. Maybe a dB, maybe 2. It doesn't really have that bite yet. Maybe even just an EQ boost over here at 10k of 1 or 2 dB could do the trick, just to spice it up a little bit, to give it a little bit more presence. Overall, the sound design is really nice. I like it. I like the depth of the track as well. The overall mix sounds pretty good already. Some synths a little bit on the loud side here. Like that over there, you just have it suddenly spike up a little bit in volume. I don't know if it's just that particular synth being a little bit too loud, or maybe that synth being too loud in a particular area, in which case what I would recommend is just compressing it. That way you get more equal loudness and it's easier to mix it in. Overall, the sound design is really, really good. I like it. Wild behavior, how are you doing? Oh, you're all freaks. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. In this case, again, for the breakdown, what I would do is probably lower the kick and bass. Maybe not by 5 dB in this case, but at least like 3 dB. Vocal is sitting nicely in there, you can understand what it's saying. Or at least kind of pick up on what it's saying. It's really granulated and stuff like that, so it's not meant to be understandable, but still you can understand what it's doing, essentially. Maybe it would be cool for this synth over here. It seems like you're using random modulations here. It would be cool to maybe do a 1-bar pattern instead, and just like an LFO if you're doing it in Serum. Sometimes I found that that makes the element a little bit more interesting, because you already have the modulation on top, right, where it goes up and down and it kind of sweeps up and down. But just by having a repeating pattern in there, sometimes it works better because it becomes more memorable. Very glitchy, I like it. Again, though, still a little bit on the loud side with some of the synths. As you said before, the mix isn't entirely finished, so I get why that would be the case. The first Kick and Bass Interactive got you. Thank you. You're welcome. Is it still playing your track for you? Maybe you're a little bit delayed, or maybe the stream delay is very strong. I haven't dropped any frames yet. But that would be a very, very high latency if that were the case. Nice little atmosphere in here. I like it. I like it a lot. The flow is very well done. The whole idea is very well done. There's some memorable elements in there. There's some very cool sound design in there. And as you said, the mix still has a little bit of work to do. But overall, you're on the right path. Sounds really good. Let's see. We have one new message, so I'll have to see. Not a Patreon. The next one that we have is Virtual Instinct over here. Alien Speech, 151 BPM master. I don't know if this is one of the ones that we've already listened to. It may be, but we'll have to see. I'm going to play it in here this time, so that it doesn't actually have the autoplay. Very loud straight from the get-go here. It does seem to have a little bit of delay. It seems very... Not really, maybe. I was like, it seems all very clipped together. Are you pushing it into a limiter? But then it just became a lot louder. Here again, if you're filtering the kick and bass, especially when it has low end, that is where I see this most. If you're high passing the kick and bass, then this won't be an issue. But right now the volume of the kick and bass is already at its maximum volume. So anybody that listens to this, and maybe if you're using this as an intro or something like that, right here the kick and bass doesn't really have as much impact as it would have did you make the kick and bass 3 to 5 dB quieter in the intro. Already I would say you're starting with a little bit too much happening in terms of sequences and stuff like that. What I would probably do is remove those chord atmospheres that you have in here. And even then maybe see if there's 1 or 2 sequences that you can remove. Kick and bass probably needs some cleaning. Looking at the way that this transient is kind of being pushed down over here. It's bleeding into this transient as well, I think. It's not that hard, but it doesn't look like you're doing a lot of processing on your bassline, because it looks pretty close to... Actually, it looks pretty close to a triangle wave here, with a click at the start. That's a new approach. I like that this segment has one big main element. I do think you could remove some more stuff even in here. I've said this many times before to you as well, Virtual Instinct, that I feel like your tracks are a little bit too busy. Like there's just too much happening. Like over here you have this really cool atonal sequence, but there's then this other thing on top that means that I'm getting distracted from that. It's probably a good idea to just play the atonal bit there. This is a very strange looking bass line on the spectrum over here. Are you actually using like a triangle wave with a click on top of it? It's not like it sounds bad, right? Here again, you can lower the volume of your kick and bass so that it has more impact in the drop. I'm using JJP bass for the tone. I don't know what that is. It does sound cool. It just looks very strange in terms of the way that it shows up in the spectrum, in that it's just like the lower few harmonics, I think, and then the click over here. There's no mid-range to it, what feels like whatsoever. But again, the sound is not wrong of the kick and bass. The kick and bass sounds nice. Just needs a little bit of cleaning, I believe. There was like some slide bleeding into it. Not even to the extent that it would be a problem, but you can always improve it, right? Make it a little bit better. Very strong high frequency material over there. What I would probably do at that point, if you have that many high frequencies, is to just filter it out. And again, even here, I feel like the track is way too busy. Overall, I would say this track is too busy. And I think this is something that I tell you almost every time. What you're lacking in your tracks is a distinction between main element and support element in terms of your synths. And what that means is that your track is really hard to understand for somebody that does not have the project file in front of them. Because when you're just producing in the DAW, it's like, oh, I hear this element because that's right there. I can see the little bar for the MIDI file. I can hear that element. I can see the little sample in the timeline. But we as the listener don't have that luxury. So we have to guess from the structure of the track and from the mixing of the track and from the amount of elements in one part of the track, what is actually going on in the track. And for your track, it feels like there's a little bit too much going on to actually make sense of it, right? To make sense of all of the elements. Like, it should be kick, bass, one main element per section, your drums, effects, and then maybe one or two support sequences. When I say one main element, I mean like a main sequence. And even not every drop needs to have a main sequence. It is perfectly fine to have one drop at the beginning of your structure where there is no sequence whatsoever. It's just a bunch of one-shots. It's just like a bunch of effects playing one after another. Right? It can be even nice to have two of those before you actually go into sequences and higher energies and stuff like that. Because right now, what it feels like with your track is that the flow is almost always at the top. You can hear that the energy goes down a little bit when you lower the drums, but still in terms of the sequences and all of the other elements that you have there, there's so much stuff overtaking each other and playing with each other and moving in and out of each other that it doesn't feel like the energy actually lowers down. And it's not a good idea to have all of the energy of your track at this height, because then it feels like there's no depth in the track, right? If your energy does something like this, where for the intro it goes up and then it stays a little bit high to get that nice high energy so that you can really dance for a little bit. At some point you're going to get tired, so it's probably nice that the music slows down a little bit, gives you a little bit of breathing room so that you can start preparing for the next high energy part of the drop, like the second drop part, and then you can build it up again. And you're already doing that with the drums, just not with the main sequences and one-shots and stuff like that. You go in sequence from the start, and it's just sequences, taking each other over, different sounds, different cool sound design things. Your sound design is very, very good and very, very unique. It's just too much. Next up, we have to skip this one over here because we already listened to it. This is one of the benefits that you get as a patron. There are no other patrons in here, so we're just going to continue with Oren over here with The Sickness. Another banging techno track, as usual. He did tell me the other day that he has 20 This was not the autoplay. I accidentally hit the play as soon as it stopped playing, so it repeated for that reason. The way that I'm doing it in here, for the person that mentioned it to me, I don't know who was it, who credited me for, or who told me to do it. I believe somewhere up here it should probably still say it. Yeah, Infrashell over here. He said the autoplay feature cannot be deactivated, but if you play it in the Discord, it doesn't autoplay. So that's very nice. Sounds great. The only thing is the rumble could be a little bit more groovier. Might be futile to try and incorporate a bass into this track, which is why the rumble could maybe have more ear candy. I would try the bass a few semitones lower. Yeah, obviously that would be a massive undertaking to change the key of the track, actually. I think, at least. Right, because the point where you have the most energy in the rumble is kind of how techno defines the key of the track. A lot of people like to joke that there is no key to techno, but I do think that definitely is. You want your rumble to be like harmonious, at least with the elements that you put on top. Otherwise, it's just going to sound off and clashing and stuff like that. But for a future track, I would take both of those suggestions from both of those people into account. I do seem to have a DM here. Do I need to do anything with that? No. Sorry. Next up, we're going to listen to Wild Behavior here. Promise one from these days. Nice. Let's see. This is Joseph with Full Dash Off. Just getting straight into it. Is this like a preview thing? It's not like... Yeah, no. That is the actual whole track here. I like it. Sounds very clean, sounds very groovy. I like the mix that you have going on here. Bassline looks resampled, at least from what I can tell from the waveform in here. With the hats on top, it's always a little bit harder to tell, but it does seem to return nicely to the silence points right before the transients. It's just a demo, okay, yeah. Nice little detail on the end there to change the key for that last bit. This part is maybe a little bit empty, some extra pads and stuff like that would be nice. Now we can check the bass. Yeah, this is cleaned up. It looks like it's fully resampled, which is nice. You get my seal of approval. I can do stuff like that now. I like it. The only thing I would say right now that is bothering me a little bit is your closed hat. It could be a little bit snappier. I like your open hat, but the closed hat could be a little bit snappier, and it could also have a little bit more high frequencies here. The open hat is really cutting through the mix in this point, but the closed hat feel like they're a little bit behind everything. Overall though, sounds very nice. Yeah, so that was that track over there. It just abruptly ends though. Next up we have no new patrons, so we're going to move on to learning project here. Never Go Back, 200 BPM in F. Mixing and mastering by learning project. Okay. Very loud intro. Right out of the gate. I can see there's some interaction with a limit already happening here. It's probably a good idea to then lower the intro a little bit in terms of volume. Kick and bass. I like it. Nice and clean as always. I can always rely on you to have a clean kick and bass actually. Not really a fan of the snare. Could be a little bit snappier, could be a little bit shorter. And it seems to be clashing with some parts of the lower kick over here, meaning that it has a lower fundamental that is entirely cancelling out with the kick drum. You probably want to high pass your snare at maybe like 1.5k or 1k hertz, obviously, in terms of frequency. You just high pass it. And that should remove the fundamental, which really your snare doesn't need. I really like this up until this point. I like that you're doing cooler stuff with the synths. As opposed to just arranging the way that you did before, where it's one bar of one synth, one bar of another synth. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the snare coming in every other bit. Also, I like that snare that was playing here a little bit more than the other one that was playing, so maybe use that snare throughout the whole track. There's no shame in just using one snare. Lol, you mean shorten? I don't know what that's referring to. Unfortunately, maybe I didn't look at the chat for a little bit. Some really cool waveform stuff going on here. Now it's gone. It looked really cool the way that it just kind of was static for a little bit. If you're referring to your closed head thing, maybe that's something that I talked about, right? In that case, yeah, you just shorten it, but shorten it dynamically with like a compressor or something like that. This time I decided to use 6 different snares. Ah, okay. I do think this is a nice leap forward. I have to say that. The way that this track is arranged up until this point is sounding very nice. Although we're again going into a part where it's just the one bar, one bar, one bar, one bar thing. I'm not really a fan of that. It sounds a little bit too static or high-tech for me. A little bit too predictable in a genre that is known for glitchy stuff, and yeah, I'm not a fan of this part. I like this, where it's just like one synth just going crazy for the whole thing, with some details towards the end there. A little bit of a strange glitchy thing happening there. That felt a little bit off. Yeah, whatever is happening over there, it feels a little bit strange. Because you want to continue this that kind of very fast rhythm that high-tech is known for, right? The 16 notes at, in this case, 200 BPM, you want to have that continue. If you go in between there, or maybe offset a little bit with whatever you're doing with the kick rolls or anything else, it feels a little bit off. because it is such a trance-inducing feeling having the rhythm continue all the way. So if you break that, it's kind of like breaking the trance itself. Really cool delay here at the outro. I like it. Overall, very cool track. Very good improvement. I like it a lot. Let's have a look at the next one. We have Mind B here. I would like to have your opinions on a work in progress track that I'm working on now. Maybe you already hear it, but I add some new elements. Yes, I did already hear maybe at least part of it. Oh, I should play it in the thing here, because this has the little thing here. Of course, us two being together in a label, we communicate a lot in terms of music that we're working on and stuff like that. For those that don't know, we do Mind B, me and some other people, Subject Ultra, Lunarium, and Mortec, also known as Real Alex, which might still be in the chat here as well. We run a label together. I think everybody knows at this point, right? I still promote it and push it out there. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible, because then we get monetization. And with the recent mix being copyright struck, it's actually a big benefit, because that means that we get ads for the copyright claimer. So we're not getting paid for the mix that I did, the April mix, but it does have ads on it because somebody else claimed like a very small snippet of it. Normally, I'm very much against that. You guys know that with the feedback stream, how tightly I am against copyright stuff. But this time, because we got ads on it, it got like 11k views or something like that. 11.6 is where it's at now. So it's a massive benefit, whereas the other mix that did not get a claim had 400 views. What's the point of having your own label? It's passion. We all like to put in the work to provide a, I guess, community, at least for now, for us five, where together we work on this project, and maybe in the future we can help other artists. And at the end of the day, we do think that it has some long-term benefit, that if this thing takes off, and if through me promoting it through my stream and my content and everything, people get to know of it, and other people promoting it as well, other members of the label promoting it as well, eventually it may grow into something that is, actually has a benefit for me, or for us, I should say, because it's very much a collaborative project. At the end of the day, though, it's a little bit of both. We're hoping that at some point there's some actual tangible benefits, but if there isn't, it is still a very cool passion project to be a part of. Just 5 people who all enjoy making music, doing it together, and facilitating collaboration. And just, taking it a little bit more seriously, trying to get all of the visuals to look nice, trying to get a proper release out every month or so. It's something that it's just passion. So that is the point, actually. It's something that we like to do. At least that is how I look at it. And I hope that the other guys do as well. But they seem to do as well, so yeah. Okay, next up, new track G by Mind B, which I did indeed already hear, but some new elements have been added. And this is also just a starting demo here. I haven't heard this. I like it. The bass line could have some stereo with, especially because you're doing some very progressive stuff here. Like all of the little one-shots that you're doing here. Riser is a little bit on the loud side, I would say. Nice transition. Hey man, where do I send tracks for feedback? I like the little chord stab that you're doing here. Also the acid line, as usual, very, very playful. I think I heard this part before. At least the melody seems familiar. Mix-wise, I think this is still an early production stage. It's still work in progress, as he's saying. But if you do want a mix recommendation, I think the kick could be maybe 1 dB, maybe 2 dB louder. I feel like the kick is sitting back a little bit in the mix, where you really want your kick to be up front, obviously. Subject Ultra is also here. We have almost all of the members of the label in the chat. That's nice. Nice. I do think maybe having the kick and bass like slightly up the filtering when you're filtering it like that, at least in one of the two of them. Right now you have two sections where there's like kick and bass in there, and both of them kind of the kick and bass stays static. You could have it so that for one of them it kind of filters upwards, especially because both of them have this rising feeling to them, right? They end with the snare build, and the first one ends with also the riser, that flanger noise riser thing right now. I think having one of them kind of lift up in terms of its filtering makes it a little bit more distinct and could be a little bit better. Maybe. I to be honest, that is a creative decision, and you can do whatever you want. But if you want my opinion on it, it could be a little bit more unique, the two different segments essentially. We don't have another track here yet. So it might be a good idea for me to take a quick break, give you guys some time to submit some more tracks. I'm making the visuals right now. Nice. There's a track coming out in 4 days. Also Mind B track, the idea, the ID. I can actually put on the mix and play that part, maybe. Because it is already in the mix. That way I'm promoting the mix, I'm promoting the new track that is coming out, I'm promoting the visuals that Subject Ultra is making. His visuals are very good. He did the one for the mix as well. Let me just put on this over here and I can go to... I cannot go to my break screen because that turns off my microphone. But yeah, these are the visuals over here. I'll play for the break the ID track by Mind B. And then you guys, in the meantime, while I'm taking my quick break, you guys can submit more stuff in the feedback on stream channel over here. Exclamation feedback for those that are just joining the stream will get you into my Discord, where you land right here. As you can see, there's more people joining as well today. And you just scroll down until you see feedback on stream and just post your link over there. Also, if you guys are interested in any products or stuff like that, you can check out my Gumroad page. I am currently running a sale on my Gumroad page. Let me get the profile again. I can show you. If you use promo code SPRINGSALE24, all lower caps, all connected together, you'll get 30% off all of my products, including the masterclass over here. All of these preset packs and sample packs and wavetail packs and tones packs and whatever. This is a new product, by the way, projector base tables. There's another product coming out, a pack of presets for Vital, which will be ready very, very soon. I hope to finish the final presets maybe tonight or tomorrow morning. And then I'll do the whole process of creating the box and everything, and all of the art and the video that goes along with it and all of that stuff. There's also some mini packs. These are just $2 currently. They're €1 or $1.40 with the discount, I believe. Is it $1.40? My math is not the greatest. Yeah, because it's 60 cents, right? 2 times 30. Yeah, should be $1.40 right now. And then there's the licenses and the remix packs where you get the stems for all of my all of the stems for one of my tracks. So if you want to remix The Dreamer or The Awakening or My Inner Jungle or even the whole album here for just $300, you can do so actually. Anyway, I should post this link in the chat here so that you guys can check it out if you want. Make sure that you use promo code SPRINGSWHEEL24, as I said before, to get your 30% off of all of the products. It also works if you're using more than one product. So if you plan on buying a whole bunch of stuff, it will just give you 30% off independent of how many products you actually buy. What annoys me about Gumroad is the design and no way to show who you follow on the library of stuff you bought. Patreon is smarter designed. From the back end, I would say that Patreon is not as well designed as Gumroad. Gumroad's backend is very quick and everything works very well. I do agree that it's very limited. I would like to have a little bit more control over the design of my profile and stuff like that. But yeah, that's just how the website works, I guess. Yeah, I'm taking a quick break and then I'll be back and you guys keep submitting music. And in the meantime, you guys have a new track coming up, releasing in 4 days on Eclipse. And yeah, hope you enjoy. Sorry for the lower volume. It's just another incentive for you to check out the full mix. Just kidding. Where did I put my phone? I have a like wireless charger thing now. Sorry. I have one of those wireless charger pads, which I usually just put my phone on, and it's a little bit low, so I do have to charge it now. It is slower, but it's nice to have because it can just constantly rest there. So nice addition to the studio, other than the Stream Deck and the new keyboard that I got. By the way, do you guys notice a difference in the volume of the keyboard nowadays? Like if I type something, do you hear the keyboard less as it was before? Because I specifically chose this keyboard because it's silent switches. And you guys are supposed to hear it less. Which, of course, for me is an important thing, making content. That I cut as much of the noise that you guys aren't interested in. From my stream, from my content and all of that stuff. It makes the editing a little bit easier and stuff like that. I do hope that it's at least somewhat better now. Nice, we have some more tracks here. Another very short demo. I like your opinion on sound, on the sound in general. Mind on ACD. Nice. Again by Joseph, also known as Wild Behavior. Again, just getting straight into it. This is very, very short. I like it. That's just the whole thing. It's just 38 seconds, but I like it. Yeah, I don't hear the keyboard just a little bit. Nice. Then I made a good purchase. I did have to buy a new keyboard anyway, because the old one broke. I spilled a drink on it. The very expensive one that I got for very cheap. Second hand. That unfortunately broke. It's nice though, the new keyboard, because it's the smaller form factor, where it doesn't have the numpad, and it's like overall a little bit smaller. So it's nice and small on the desk, and I have a little bit more space. Hopefully my new studio I can make it so that my Novation control thingy that I use for macros and stuff like that, and writing in automations and stuff like that, I can have that in front of me as well, because right now it's like over here, and especially when I am streaming and I have my microphone, it is behind my microphone. So I would either need to move the microphone or do it like this and be all strange and stuff like that. There's not really a nice way for me to have both the microphone and use the controller over here. But yeah, the space in this apartment, as I've said before, is just very limited, and I have to deal with it. Next up, we have another one over here. I don't know if it fits here. Upcoming hard techno track currently in production / demo stage. If you want to give some feedback on the mix, that would be super helpful. Played it already at a gig and people and other DJs liked it, so definitely will release it. Want to make sure it sounds professional on all systems. Let's have a listen. If it is still in the demo stage, does that mean that it is already mixed and mastered then? A little bit loud vocal there. Definitely not mastered here yet. I would say the bass and the rumble could, or the kick and the rumble could have a little bit more prominence here. Could be just a little bit louder. Because all of the other elements are kind of overtaking it here. You also had some kicks clashing. You could see the waveform kind of going up like that when the double kicks played. I would also suggest resampling the rumble and making that into a sample. So that means that it doesn't bleed into the kick over here. As you can see, the start of the kick is like all strange, where it kind of wiggles up and then down. That's because the rumble, the base of the rumble kind of continues into this part of the kick over here. And that's not something that you want. So personally, I would just suggest resampling it, or if your rumble is on a different track than the kick itself, LFO tooling can usually work as well. How long does the Gumroad sale? It is up until the 5th of May. So a little over 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, exactly 2 weeks from now the sale will end. Very loud synth here. This is way louder than the kick, which is probably not something that you want. You want your kick to be the most prominent element in the mix. Oh. Now everything is a lot louder. You can see what it does to the waveform, right? If you're playing this loud synth on top of it. Yeah, this, personally, I would say that this isn't really a good mix. Usually in proper mixes you can see the kick sitting in the waveform here. If I pause this over here, I cannot really see where the kick is playing. And normally that is something that you would see even in a techno track. Specifically in the sidetrance track you would definitely see it. But in a techno track as well, you would see the kick and bass sitting in the waveform even if other elements are playing. Right, if you go back into the feedback stream a little bit earlier, maybe to the Mind B track, you could see the shape of the kick and bass throughout the whole waveform, even when other elements were playing. And in this case, it's not. It doesn't look like that's the case. In fact, I cannot really tell if the increase in volume that we see over here is actually the kick being louder and the rumble as well being louder, or if it's just the synth being so loud that it kind of extends the waveform. Because the synth itself was also very, very loud. Right, this is just the kick playing. And then you can see the synth is louder than the kick. You probably don't want that, you want that the other way around. This is a good way that I can show these things, by the way, with the pausing here. Overall though, I do like the idea. It's a good production. I like it. No, not mixed and mastered at all, but people kept asking even for the short version. It is nice. It's a good start. It does need a little bit of tweaking. If you really want to have a good sounding mix, I do offer mixing services. If you go to my website, projectorsound.com, and you scroll down to here, you'll find a PDF with all of the information available on my mixing services. And I can make the mix for you if you really want. Mix and master, by the way. All the mixing services should include a master as well. You'll just get a mastered, finalized track, of course. Do we have more tracks in stock? Right now, it doesn't seem to be the case. I always appreciate your feedback, Projector. I've been doing this for a while, but you know, you still got to learn in a few areas, I think. You're welcome. By the way, you guys can just chat in the YouTube chat. That's a lot easier for me to actually look at than the chat over here. Because now every time I see a message popping up over here, I feel like there's another track that I need to listen to. Which currently there isn't. And I also don't always have this chat up on the screen, or I may be scrolling back or something like that. Overall, I would say the YouTube chat is easier for me to see. Right now, somebody is typing, so I'll just wait for him to or her to type. I make hard techno too. He has given me feedback on a few tracks. Yeah, to me, I don't care about the genre. I know that I'm a psytrance producer and I make psytrance related content, but that doesn't mean that I only listen to psytrance and that I can only give feedback on psytrance productions. Yeah, currently I'm just waiting for new tracks to show up so that we can listen to some more music. If anybody here wants to submit a track, !feedback will get you to my Discord. You'll join somewhere over here where you can listen to my music if you want to. But then you can just scroll down, go to feedback on stream, and then you can post your link right here. Make sure that you read the rules before posting. You just click up here where it says read before posting. You click there, and by submitting your track, you grant me permission to play and review your track during the live stream and subsequent video on YouTube. This means that you're not allowed to copyright claim the stream on the basis of me playing your music. This is very important. Some people forget that when they release their music, it often goes into the Content ID system in YouTube, which means that I get claims from you guys on the music that I play during the feedback. So make sure that you either whitelist my channel or you don't submit your music to the Content ID system at all. The other thing is, don't submit works that you don't fully own the copyright to. This means any remix, bootleg, or edit will not be played. I should probably rephrase this so that it's just this second part. Because even if you own the copyright to a remix that you're doing, if it's like an official remix, I can still get in trouble for playing it, especially when it's not released yet. To be honest, that counts for any work that is not released. And that then goes into the claiming, obviously. Because usually what happens is that they send me the track for feedback, and then months later they release the track, not thinking about, oh wait, I once sent it to this projector guy that gave me feedback on the track, and then I get the claim like months later from a track that I played. Sometimes I even get tracks that were a year old. Suddenly I get a claim from it, and then I can see, oh wait, now the track was released. The last thing that it says over here, I prefer websites where I can play from the browser, like SoundCloud, Google Drive, or OneDrive. Services like WeTransfer don't allow me to do that, so please don't use those. For WeTransfer specifically, I have to download the file first before I can play it, which is really annoying because then I just have to sit here and wait for a few minutes for the download to finish. But we have a new track over here, another techno track. We're getting a lot of techno today. I guess it's popular, but I didn't know I had so many followers making techno. Anyway, this is Techno Tracks with an X here by Tamarta. Let's have a listen. Nice little flanger there on the hat, nice little detail. This click thing that is happening over here isn't in line with any of the hats. So it feels a little bit off in terms of the rhythm. It's playing like right after the kick, but before the next hat. What I would do is probably align that so that it either plays with that click of the hat itself, so it's part of the same rhythm, right? This click over here, this little thing that you see there. Or place it on top of the kick, but not like in between like you're doing here. Your bassline is moving your kick around a lot. You can sometimes hear that the kick loses all of its definition. There are so many techno variations, no less than side. Melodic is nice, I also love dub techno in Detroit. This is more of a melodic vibe. I like this kind of stuff as well, yeah. Little delay thing is really cool. Hello Greedo, nice to see you here. I like the little stereo play that you're doing there. It would be nice to have more of that, where the synth doesn't stay mono all the time. Because right now it is. Even the delay. For the delay, what I would definitely do is either use a ping pong delay, or if you're not into ping pong, use something like Echo Boy Jr., which has the wide option, which means that the delay version is like very stereo. You can even set that up with a rack or something like that, so that you have like a dry wet rack where the delay is fully wet, and then you just stereonize the delay itself. Sweep Sweep, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. I like the idea so far. The mix does need a lot of work. The elements aren't really mixed to their like prominence, I would say. What I mean there is, when it comes to any form of dance music, especially 4 on the floor, the kick is the most important part. But often in this mix we hear the kick being overtaken by other elements, especially when the bass line plays, especially when the synths play. The kick should be the most prominent thing, because that is what we use to dance to. This is kind of giving me bass vibes. Yeah. I like it a lot. The other thing that I should say is that the structure is a little bit strange of this track, in that there's no fills anywhere in there. Normally what you would do with dance music is, in techno and psytrance as well, is you would have 15 bars of the kick and bass, and then the 16th bar of the segment is going to be like your fill, where you drop out the kick and bass, maybe have like a drum fill or something like that. You take away your drums, your top drums as well, your clap and your hats and stuff like that. That way the track is a little bit more structured, and anybody that gets kind of lost or gets into the dance floor halfway through the track, they can get back into the groove of the track, because the fill kind of resets them. Right, they then know where the downbeat is, they then know where the segment is, and it's easier for them to follow the structure of the track. Overall though, very cool idea. It needs a little bit of work on the production still, and a little bit more work on the mix. The mix definitely needs quite a lot of work, I would say. We are again out of tracks. Keep sending me stuff. Can be old stuff, can be whatever you want, as long as it falls within these rules, of course. I am no dancer. It's nice sometimes to dance, but I'm also not like a really good dancer, I would say. To be honest, when it comes to rave music, you don't have to be a good dancer, because all the dance is just stepping left, right on the beat, and then you just move your upper body with that, I guess. That's like the main dance that people tend to do. If you sometimes see like certain underground musics, like the hakken in hardstyle and hardcore and that kind of stuff, how difficult that actually is, I'm kind of happy with how simple the dance is in psytrance, because if I had to learn hakken, that would take me ages to do. I did, when I was younger, know how to do like the jump style. Do you guys remember that? Where you do your foot forwards and backwards, and you jump around on like the tip of your foot or the heel of your foot in strange ways. and then you can even put your legs in other places and in between, I guess, this area over here. I don't know what's it's called. Does this show? This area over here, you put your leg like this and then you move around. It's hard to do when you're seated, of course. Shuffling, yeah, shuffling as well. Shuffling is another one of those dance moves or types of dance, I guess, which is just really hard to do. That's not something that you learn in a day. Whereas when it comes to the way that we dance to psytrance and techno and house and that kind of stuff, it's a lot easier to do. Definitely remember jump style. It was very big in the Netherlands when I was like 12, I think. Yeah, 14, 15 years ago, something like that. Maybe even more, maybe even longer. No, definitely when I was younger still. I may have been 8 or 9. We had the... What's this guy? What is the guy's name? Patrick Jumpin. Do you remember him? Is that bringing back some very old music? Hated that. It was a very polarizing thing. I remember even back in the day they had like news, because everybody was wearing Nike Air Max and full like the gym suits. Is that how you say it? Trainingspak. In volledig trainingspak, kaalgescheren kop en Nike Air Max. How old am I now? I'm almost 27. In 2 months, I will be 27. Yes. You look young still. What about this suggests that I'm very young? My balding head. My Gabba period was very short too. Yeah. I'm in my Gabba period now. I now have this completely shaved head. Somebody did post over here. I don't know if they want to get feedback on my stream, but this is not the right channel. Saranj, if you're here and you want feedback from me during the stream, then this is not the right channel. Just delete it and post it here. If you're not in the stream and... Yeah, okay, perfect. Nice. Inhale Not Mixed by Saranj Aurora. I'm really sorry. Nice, this is an 8-minute track. Gives us a little bit of time to have other people submit as well. Which again, you can still do exclamation feedback to get into my Discord. Overall getting sometimes a little bit too wide here. Usually what you want is where you are right now. And you had it before when the vocal was playing, it was over here. So that part should maybe be a little bit more mono. Nice kick and bass. I like the tone of it. It might need a little bit of cleaning, I don't know. You could probably get away with removing this last half oscillation over here, just fading it out a little bit earlier. So that the transient has all the space that it can get. It's definitely not clean over here. Here it seems that it's like actually bleeding into the transient, so you probably want to fix that.
Everything that you see in your physical environment is just physical reality.
I like it. To be honest, I'm not really a fan of the panning that you're doing. The hard panning on the synths. I would just put them in the center, and if you want them to be wide, just stereo widen them, as opposed to panning them left and right. Because right now it feels like they're very much in the back, even though they should probably be the main element. I thought it was as corny as things could possibly get, little did I know. The jump style, yeah. It was fairly corny back in the day. But I was like very young. Still, there were people my current age that were still doing it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all in good fun, so it doesn't really matter, does it? I like it. Sounds nice and powerful. Is there a vocal in here? I do hear some vocal related stuff, like maybe some chops or something like that, but if you're trying to put in a vocal that is actually telling a story, then that's not going to work. The amount of elements that are in that part of the track are just not going to allow for that kind of stuff.
This is the story of DMT. Simple compound found throughout nature which has
Little bit of strange processing on the vocal. I'm not sure I'm a fan of that.
the facts on human consciousness.
Also, this breakdown could be a little bit cooler with elements. And the vocal could be a little bit louder as well. If you're going to keep it processed like this, definitely. Because over here you can definitely not hear what's happening. Even here in the drop, I'm having a little bit of a hard time fully understanding the vocal, even though I clearly know what it says. I really like this track, nice composition and arrangement. I agree. I like this, the atmosphere that you're creating here with all of the little textures and stuff like that. With all of the little vocal things. You could probably have kept that going actually. Or maybe slowly faded out up until this drop over here. Strange that the reverb just suddenly cuts off there. Again, not really a fan of the panning here on this element.
In your physical environment is just
not something that you often hear, like very distinct panning on elements in Psytrance. It tends to happen either all through the center or it's panning left and right on one specific element. But just having an element that plays in the right channel only, it's a bit of a strange decision in my opinion. Overall though, the mix is very nice. Now this is the reason why I don't like the panning, because now only one of the two elements is playing and it feels like the track is being pushed to the left a little bit. And since you already had separated the elements in time, there's not really a need to separate them in the stereo width, so it's not like it needs it from a mixing perspective, the panning. It just would purely need it from a writing thing, and in my opinion, I just don't like the sound of it just coming out of one ear. Even when it's not like hard panned like you have it now, I would just put both of them in the center and make them stereo width or wider. What you could even do is take the FM and make it really wide, and have the other synth, the more formant one, to be a little bit more mono. That way you do still have a stereo contrast, but instead of left and right, you just have wide and narrow, which in my opinion is a nicer dichotomy, because it then all stays still in the center, essentially. Today's stream is really not doing well. Very strange. My channel in general is doing very strangely these days. It is still getting good views, but not because the recent stuff is performing very well, except for that one video about the Arjuna kick drum plugin, because that got like 17k, which is unheard of for my channel. And then there's another one, the one on the bass, the wavetable bass lines. But even today's video is not doing good. In fact, it was a 10 out of 1, or a 10 out of 10, I think. Yeah, it's just not performing. And I already changed the title, I already changed the thumbnail from what it was before, but it's just not getting pushed as much as other videos do. Which is strange, because it's Sunday, so I would assume that a lot of my viewers are actually here. But impression-wise, I'm getting 1.6 after 4 hours. If I look at the video that did very well, the kick drum video, how much did I get after 4 hours there? Yeah, look at the difference. So this is the first 24 hours of that kick drum video. I got 5k impressions, 5.2. Okay? It also had a higher click-through rate in the beginning. It was doing very well. Like, this is unheard of in terms of click-through rate for a first day, 10%. That's double what I normally get. So that is probably has to do with it. Yeah, here you can see that this is what it normally looks like. I get to 7-8% maybe in the beginning, and then it trails off a little bit more after that. In this case, after an hour, I changed the title, so right around here. It didn't seem to have a lot of... In fact, it seems to have made things worse, even though I think that the title and thumbnail is now better than it was before. But just the difference in how much YouTube is trying to push out my videos is changing. I appreciate your feedback. I forgot to fix that panning. You're welcome. I hope that it's helpful. But yeah, very strange stuff happening to the channel. I do like to see that the wavetable bass video is still going very, very strong. That's nice. That one needs to do well because it's the announcement of my sale and stuff like that. It's weird because you have good informative videos. Is there any way that I can show this yeah, I can show the bigger picture of my whole channel as well, I think, in a proper way. Because the only thing that I cannot show on stream is... can you stop doing this, please, YouTube? It sometimes just opens up things that I don't want. Sorry. The only thing that I cannot show on my stream is money related stuff, like how much YouTube pays me, I believe. And even that I'm not entirely sure, because I have seen videos that actually show it. But it's better to be safe than to be sorry, right? If I go to this graph over here, it's going to look very complex. I am showing revenue. Can I just block that off in some way? I did notice that there's revenue down below here. Can I remove that? Hide metric. There we are. Yes. Okay. And then impressions, and then for the last year. Let's have a little bit of analysis here. So from May last year, this is where I popped off with the shorts. This is where I started doing the funny shorts, which is really what is helping me and what helped my initial growth. You can see I was at the low here, right? 5,000 views or 5,000 impressions, 500 views. I've not yet been at this kind of low. But ever since then, what I've noticed is that it kind of fluctuates, especially the amount of impressions that I'm getting. So over here, I have a bunch of shorts that do really well. My impressions go up for the long format videos, and then it just drops again. And then I did very well again for a little bit up until February this year. And for February, it just drops again. And now I'm doing again really well, and I'm sure that soon it will again just completely drop. Right now I am in that dropping part, with the shorts at least. The amount of times that my shorts get shown into the feed, which the graph looks very similar. I think I can show that as well. I have to always move it off the screen because I'm not sure if it pops up something that I cannot actually show. Where is shown in feed? Here. Yeah. So now the green is shown in feed, not the impressions. And you can see it's again, it just fluctuates up and down. And I cannot really tell why. Here again, you can see that I was at a nice uptrend here. You can even see that every other day I'm posting a funny short because it pops up and pops down and it pops up and it pops down again. At least to a certain extent. Obviously, there's crossover between... if I have a very good short, it will last for a couple of days. But yeah, I cannot personally explain why why my growth is not continuous. Why any time that I grow, it feels like the growth in and of itself is a trigger for another downfall. The problem with YouTube is just terrible for engagement, no matter who you are, no rhyme or reason. It isn't like that. When it comes to social media platforms, I would say YouTube is probably the best one out there. In the way of that its systems are handled, in the way that it recommends people content, in the way that you... people tend to mostly find the content that they're looking for on YouTube. Reminds me of the stock market pretty much. Yeah, kind of. It's annoying because it's my job, and I would like my job to have some kind of certainty to it, and mainly some kind of growth to it. But partially, I have found that I need to just get my promotion outside of at least the projector channel. So that's part of the reason why I'm also working on the label stuff, right? Which the label stuff is doing really well for the size of its YouTube channel. We need 400 more subscribers, 350 more subscribers for the monetization. But anytime that we get a copyright claim and YouTube puts ads on our video, so it essentially acts like that one video is monetized, the video blows up. Like the substance track and the dark track, I believe both had claims on them, and one got to 8,000 views, the other one got to 12,000, something like that, or 10,000, something like that, 11,000 maybe. Now the new mix got a copyright claim on it, and it went up to 11,000 views. So there's definitely interest in the channel. It's just that we cannot yet monetize everything all the time. because at some point those copyright claims get lifted again because they're erroneous or that they're not good, right? But it does show me that once we get the channel monetized, once we get to that 1,000 subscribers and that 4,000 hours of watch time, which will hit the watch time tomorrow, probably, the 4,000 hours that we need. And it takes it a few days for YouTube to process it for the monetization status. But we probably need like another 2-3 weeks, hopefully, if the mix continues to grow. And even that has slowed down a little bit today with regards to yesterday. To get to the 1,000 subscribers, and then it should be all good, and it should start to perform on its own because we don't need the claims anymore to get the monetization status. The videos will just be monetized all the time, and therefore it should just continuously have the growth that we can. Can you show me an example of remove fundamental from the snare? I don't know if I did it right. Okay. Sidewind snare, if you go to, for example, one of my snares over here. Say that you like this snare over here, the snare 15 from my pack. This is Psychedelic Drum Packs Volume 1, also on sale for anybody wondering. To remove the fundamental, all you do is you high pass it. So this has a fundamental down below here. You can see that little spike thing there, and we just remove it. In this case, for a sidewind snare, I would probably do something like this, maybe. Maybe if I wanted to use this in an actual track, I would probably do... It's gonna depend on your kick and bass as well. So let's maybe... Do we have new tracks to listen to? We do. One. I'll listen to that in a little bit. I'll show you this example. Let's say that you have a kick and bass over here. Again, for the kicks, you can go to Psychedelic Drum Pack Volume 1 here. 143 BPM. It doesn't really matter. It says over here that the key is in F. It doesn't really matter anymore because we've removed the fundamental. Therefore, it doesn't really have a key anymore. It's just noise, as you can hear. And we can use that to our advantage by just taking any key, kick, and bass line that we want and just playing it on there. So kick and snare would look something like this. And then you would have your bass. I'll go into my standard bass patch for Psychedelic Essentials from Psychedelic Essentials Volume 3. Again, a pack that is on sale right now. And I've just turned up the phasing, and that's all you need to do to get your process sounding bass line from this. And then you just go like that. I'll lower the velocity of this one a little bit, and then I'll move it down 3 octaves. The quality of the kick and bass isn't the best, but obviously this would still need to be mixed and stuff like that. What I would probably do for my sidewind snares is maybe something like this. This first snare is a lot snappier, it's a lot more attention grabbing. I like that. And then level wise, something like this, probably. Let me turn it all down because we're clipping now. Of course, if you don't like the specific tone that you're getting from this wavetable over here, you can change the wavetable nowadays with my bass tables pack. Let's see if we can find a cool one. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Something like that. And of course, to get your final bass sound, you'd probably want to do some stereo spreading on there, maybe a little bit of EQing as well. Stereo spreading, we go to 300 Hertz is to have just spread in the higher frequencies of it. Maybe you want a little bit more spread from the transient. In that case, I would suggest M Stereo Generator as well. Same idea. We'll just remove some of the lower frequencies. With this one, I like to go up higher, maybe even to like 1K for the cutoff here. Something like that. And maybe you do some EQing as well. This EQing isn't so drastic that it will alter the phase in any way. I can prove that as well with scope. I go kick, I go bass. At least it shouldn't be so significant. Yeah, you can see a little bit of phase shift over here. This doesn't matter, that amount of phase shift that you get from there. I did mess up here. I went with the clean sub variation. I should go with the no sub variation. This is flip alt minus 50, flip alt minus 50 to 50 hertz. Number 8 here. And now we have one without a sub. And now my EQing is all off, of course. Maybe I do want the sub to come in a little bit earlier still. I can change this over here. May actually be nice to have the sub kind of fade in like this. But yeah, that's how you make psytrance. It's as easy as that. It took me, what, like 5 minutes to set that up? We do have some more tracks here. So let's listen to these two here. Hey, I'm new to this Discord. Would be great to get some feedback on this drum and bass work in progress. That's nice. But first, we do have the Spirit Molecule here, mix template. Again, by Sarash Aroa. I'm again sorry for mispronouncing that, probably. That's what I do here on this channel. I mispronounce names and give feedback on music. Everything froze there for a second. Aha. Ableton decided to crash. Okay. Give me a second here. I'll just start it up again. My whole PC just froze. Even my mouse froze. That's has rarely happened to me. That it freezes so much that it even the mouse just completely disappears. Would I like to recover that? Probably not, because there's probably something wrong with that project. That may be the reason why it crashed. I wonder if that had any thing with if that did anything with the stream, because if your whole PC crashes, maybe even OBS has difficulties keeping up then. Wait, Ableton is unstable? Yes, very much. The reason is Signalizer is also slightly unstable, I've noticed. It's not the most stable plugin. We've noticed the stereo analyzer sometimes just completely breaking and showing wrong information. Anytime something is playing and I move my mouse on here or I click on here, there's like a big click in the spectrum over here. That shouldn't really be necessary. The noise that you see in here is actually there. And if I scroll, or if I, how do I do that again? I go over here. If I move this, the lower limit, you can see that there's a noise floor over here at minus 120 dB. That's normal. So this is actually showing something that is there. But this one sometimes crashes, and there's other ones that seemingly are a little bit unstable. Anyway, let's try this again. The Spirit Molecule again by Sarash Aurora. Starting off really soft here. I don't know if I need to turn it up more or something like that. I don't know if I can. I'll do that later when the kick and bass is actually playing. But it feels like there's a lot of headroom in this one. Trying to guess where the beat is in the intro here. I did get it right, so that means that the intro is kind of leading you onto the actual beat that is supposed to be there. I'm adding 12 dB of gain and we're still not at the mastering territory. So you're going to need like 18 dB of gain at least to even get to the limiter peaks here. One more track I gave it title, it's not mixed. Okay. It definitely sounds like it, because stuff like this, the down lifter is too loud. That is supposed to be a support element, right? It's not meant to overtake the track. Is it speeding up here? I wouldn't speed up in the drop itself. Yeah, I personally wouldn't choose to do that because it's hard to dance to the drop if it's speeding up. You have to keep in mind that this is, in essence, dance music, and people have to dance to it and get in the groove with it. Which in this case is not going to happen because the speed is changing. Bassline needs to be resampled, it is bleeding into the kick, meaning that you get this nasty peak over here. I once again do like the tonality of your kick and bass though, it's sounding good. I think you didn't notice, this is a very rough production. It sets mixed template. So I'm assuming that this is somehow already being mixed. I have to fix this song. Yes. I do agree with that there are some issues with the song that needs to be fixed. While you're there, what I would do is look into a little bit more structuring and again having fills. I don't think it was you that I mentioned this to before, but we had another track where it's just continuous kick and bass for like a minute or two. What you usually see is that you break it up into segments of like 16 bars or maybe 24 bars or 32 bars or even 8 bars if you're going with a very small structure. And then at the end, you carve out a little segment from that section. Say that you have 16 bars and you want a fill of 1 bar. You carve out that 1 bar from the 16 bars. So you have 15 bars of kick and bass and then 1 bar of fill. I think you didn't notice that track with title not mixed. Ah, this one over here. Yeah, no. Because I looked at the line over here where the new stuff was. I'll play this one afterwards. Sorry. I thought you meant that this one was not mixed. I'm very sorry. We'll get to that one after this one. Pluck is fairly loud here. I wouldn't say very. Maybe you take away 3-4 dB and then it's okay. But that click is very strong. I kind of like the tempo speed up. What I would do if you want to have a tempo speed up like that, I also like them. I have them in my track Eternal Garden as well, but I have it in like a build-up segment, as opposed to the actual drop itself. Because then you can have that kind of one. In my case, it was 110 BPM ambient stuff in the first and second drop, and then in the third drop it went to normal psytrance tempo, right? So it's easier to dance to them, because then the part that is speeding up is not actually the part that you're fully into the dance. In this case, if you try to dance to that and you try to catch the rhythm, you'll never really catch the rhythm of the track, because the rhythm is always changing. It's always going faster. Overall, the heads could have a little bit of extra volume, especially the closed one. I can barely hear it. I do want it to spice a little bit through more. Usually when we look at the psytrance mix, you'll see a little hump here when the heads are playing, especially the open hat. That is currently not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing kind of like a straight line. By the way, I don't mix like this, for anybody wondering if I'm looking at the analyzers to see a certain thing. I don't really mix like that. It's just easier to point out that way when I'm giving feedback. Yeah, I agree with you. I must not have paid enough attention. I thought it was speeding up before the drop. No, that part was also the drop, I think. Right? Now I'm doubting myself. But I do believe it was kick and bass that was playing at that point, like full on kick and bass, all the frequencies not filtered in any way. I'll quickly go back and actually find it. Overall though, very cool track. Yeah, so this would be a drop. And now we can hear it starting to speed up, right? So this is the full kick and bass playing from the highest to the lowest part. What I would do is something like this. Let me see if I can find the mix here quickly. March mix. Oh. If I go to Eternal Garden, the first track in the March mix over here. Should play very soon here. Do you hear how the track takes a little bit of a step back? Right now it's not the full kick and bass, it's still playing the kick and bass, but it's like in the background. And we're still going to have a speed up effect now. We were in 110 BPM and we're going to 143 now. If I would do a speed up, I would do it like that, where you still have the speeding up effect, right? Which is really cool. I do agree with you that that's really cool. But it's in a part of the track where you're not necessarily trying to dance to it and trying to get into the groove of it. You're just saying, oh, wait, we're taking a step back a little bit, and then we go into the drop, and that's where people get to start dancing again. Also because then, when you are at the new tempo, you get that, like, impact again of the kick and bass playing, and then people really have... you know, that moment of realization. Hey, wait, we're now at the psytrance. We're no longer at the slow ambient stuff. We're faster. We get to dance faster. We get to be more energetic. So people naturally get hyped up a little bit from that. That's also the reason why I decided for that track to not have the kick and bass play on its own, but to have all of the elements, all of the drums already come in there, so it's immediately high energy in that part. Damn cool track, amazing speed up transition. Thank you. Feel free to use it as a reference track. It's already out on the Eclipse channel. I again close the link, so I have to find it again. Here, if you want a reference track, Eternal Garden right over here. In the description, you'll also find a link to the Bandcamp, so you get the high quality WAV version if you're interested in that. What is happening over here? There we are. We have a few more tracks in here. There's even more tracks submitted in here. Obviously, I have to play this one now, because I played this one and unfortunately skipped this one over here. So this is Not Mixed by Sarash Aurora again. So listen. Immediately getting into it. This is really strange with some of these demos that we've been hearing today. They don't necessarily start in a point of the structure that makes sense. So it's like halfway through the drop, it just gets cut out. I still have plus 12 dBs of gain on there, so normally the track is playing like this. I like it. Nice progression overall. Sound design is once again very good. I do think the bass line in this one could be a little bit louder, maybe 2 dB. There were some other elements that, as you said, this one is not mixed. But there are some other elements that are really clashing here. The vocal, I would say, is a little bit too loud. There was, in that very beginning of the track, there was like a riser that was sounding very loud. This riser over here is good. It doesn't detract anything from the musical idea. It just kind of sits in the background and adds a little bit of a boost in energy, which is what a riser should do. It shouldn't overtake the musical idea in and of itself. It should just be a contribution to it. At least that is how I like to think of it. There's like a little vocal pad playing in here, very much in the background. What I would probably do is remove that so that you can really focus on the sitar thing that you have going on here and how that interplays with the bass line. You have such a cool melodic element, you really don't want anything to really detract from that. And then at this point here, when the sitar itself goes away, this is where you would bring in the vocal pad, maybe even with a little bit more volume. Or in this case you have other elements playing here as well, so that would be okay as well. But when you have a cool main element like that, try to make sure that it gets as much space as it can, right? Kick and bass, maybe some drums, maybe some backing elements, maybe some support elements in the sense that they support the idea. In this case, the vocal pad was doing 16-note transgate things, whereas the melodic thing was doing a very cool melody. It was changing keys and stuff like that. So it's not really kind of like supporting the sitar, it's just kind of there. In that case, I would just choose to remove it. I like this. This is really cool. I like the violin as well. Oh, this is the autoplay again. Sorry. How long have I been streaming? I've been streaming 2.5 hours now, meaning that it's been like 1.5 hours since my last break. I think it is time for me to take another quick break. So I'm going to put on the mix again. Yeah, I'll put on my Mind B collab in the mix here. Give me a second. Before I go, I do quickly once again want to say that I'm currently running a sale on my Gumroad page. So if you're interested in any of my products, including my masterclass, using code SPRINGSALE24, all lowercase, all attached together, will get you 30% off of all of my products. As I said, including the masterclass. So yeah, go check it out. Go purchase some products, help support the channel, and yeah, thank you if you do. Anyway, I'm going to be playing this track over here. This is my upcoming collaboration with Mind B. And I think it's one of the best tracks that I've ever worked on. I really like the first segment. I really like what Mind B did with the synths. And I did the bass line on this first segment over here, which came together after he sent me a lot of the synth work that he did. So yeah, there's some really cool stuff in this one. And I hope that you enjoy it while I take a quick break to quickly go pee. And after the track is almost finished, I'll probably be back and then we'll continue listening to you guys.
Testing assistant.
So, let us dream big. Let us dream big. Let us dream big. Let us dream big.
becoming one with the machine.
This is also a very good song, but I'm slowly going to transition out here. You guys will just have to listen to the mix for yourselves if you want to listen to that song over there. Yeah, I did hear that it was a little bit too loud. The mix is set to minus 6 dB by YouTube automatically. YouTube does the volume compensation, I believe. And I was adding a 12 dB boost. So I was clipping by 6 dB, which usually isn't a good thing. And I could actually hear the clipping on my phone. Or at least the signal getting very destroyed. We have to go back to Discord over here. Again, for those that are wondering, you can still submit tracks to the feedback if you want. We are now moving into... I'm now going to check extra carefully because I missed this track over here, but we have played this one over here, so we're at the drum and bass track here. I'm new to this Discord, it would be great to get feedback on this drum and bass work in progress. Very cool. This is Kepler work in progress 2024-04-20-1834. Very strange name for a track, but I'll take it. And this is also nice and full scale. It feels a little bit pressured here. Kind of like there's a little bit too much sidechain maybe in here. Like the hats seem to duck a lot to the kick, even though it's not really necessary here. I would obviously recommend doing that in this part over here, where you're trying to get very loud like you're doing now. I do like this. This is nice. This is well done. A bit more stereo width though would be nice. For such a loud mix, it is fairly narrow. It could be a little bit wider. Maybe those vocal things, the higher part of the bass when it kind of opens up could be a little bit wider as well. This little part over here, those brass steps could be a bit, maybe even more. obviously have a very, very strong mono component in here in terms of the sub. Yeah, even here where there's... I mean, there's not a lot playing here apart from the drums. So there isn't a lot of material that you could do some stereo with it. Maybe a little bit of panning on some of the percussions that you have in here would be nice. Just to make it a little bit more interesting. I need to automate the sidechain. I will look into the stereo image. Yeah, I think that's it for this track. At least what I hear up until now. The rest of the track is really well done. This part is good in terms of stereo. If this is where you want to be, especially when there's no sub in there. This kind of area over here. And even when there is a sub, if you want your track to really sound ultra big, stereo riff is one of the ways that you can make it sound, yeah, just bigger, essentially. Just because instead of it all coming from the middle of your head, it sounds like it's coming from everywhere, because it's coming from the sides, it's coming from the mid. In terms of the sub will still come from the mono component, which if you're listening on headphones sounds like it's coming from here. That's why I do this with my hand. And then the stereo stuff sounds like it's coming from here, right? Very cool. Even like a sound like that where you have that very high pad, you can make that very wide. You can even make that wider than 180 degrees phase. Because what you can do is you can take the fact that it's playing with the sub and take that to your advantage. You could position, say that the sub is over here, right? It's completely mono. But you have the synth playing on top of that. You can place that maybe even over here. And then together, they will play roughly around here, maybe even a little bit lower because the sub is going to be louder. But you can have individual elements that are wider than what they often say. You don't want to go over 180 degrees out of phase, right? Which is what this is. This is, no, 90 degrees, because this is 180. This is full cancellation. For those that don't know, let's explain this graph over here so that you guys know how to do stereo with stuff. When it comes to what we see over here, this is very similar to what you see in Isotope Insight or the Isotope Imager for people that use that plugin. When a sound is fully mono, let me actually play something through it. That makes it easier. Let's set up a quick demo here inside of Serum. I'll move my Serum over here and I'll just get myself a nice little sine wave. I'll get, in fact, 2 of them. Let's go with the normal one, the basic shapes one. And let's copy that over here. We're going to pan 1 to the left and 1 to the right. And we're going to set them to full scale. So we have something like this. We should have, yeah, a fully mono sine wave. You can see it shows up as a line over here. If you just play the left channel, you can see the line goes like this. So the left channel is projected onto this line over here. And the right channel is projected on this line over here. And you can see our stuff is sitting in the middle. So if something is only playing in the right channel and not playing in the left channel, it's basically halfway out of phase, essentially. You can also simulate that by playing both of them and setting something like this, where we set them out of phase. Now you can see the left and the right channel are playing still the same sound, but one is a little bit delayed towards the other. That's not exactly what phase is, but for this explanation it will do. If we set one to, say, 90 degrees, and we set the other one to 70 here, they're going to be fully out of phase. So this meter is going to be over here. And you can see this is full stereo wave. There's no mono component into it. It's just fully stereo. Which means that if we sum it to mono, you won't hear anything. because the left and the right exactly cancel out. And if I bring this back, we get our mono component again. What you can do for some of your synths, since you have such a strong mono component in that sub bass, if you want that ultra wide stereo width, is you can have some elements that go out of phase, that go more, that go towards actual canceling, right? Because this is fully cancelled in mono, this is half cancelled in mono, and this is completely mono compatible. Everybody says you should stay within this area over here to be mono compatible. That is true on your full mix. That is true on the totality of the essentially the master. The master has to stay within here, almost at all times. Even if you have like a breakdown, it can be nice to go a little bit above it, but you never really want to see a master that sits down here. But individual elements, it's fine. You can do that. You can use that, and what will happen then? What you'll have is that if the mix is played in mono, that element will become more in the background. So you have a way to determine in your mix partially how essentially how strong elements are in the mono version, because you have less space in the mono version, right? You have one channel instead of two, so essentially you get half the space. Sometimes you need some elements to take more of a backseat in the mono version as opposed to the stereo version, and the way that you do that is just by making them so stereo that they start to cancel a lot more in the mono version of your track. So essentially it's like a spectrum, right? This is no cancellation whatsoever, this is full cancellation, and you can kind of approach even almost full cancellation if you want it to sit very much in the background, say with, for example, a pad that you have, or reverbs are often a very good thing. Reverbs tend to cancel a little bit more in mono. They tend to be a lot wider than the source itself, so that when the sound is played in mono, you get a little bit more of the main important part of the sound, essentially. This was my TED Talk. Thank you for listening. Are there any questions? No, I hope that was a little bit of useful insight. Next up, we have ZZZ here. That's not something that I have to watch. I like to watch if people don't mistakenly submit over here like we had before. Some side techno I'm working on. This is FF21042024. A very cool profile picture as well. But this is side techno. Yeah, so this would be slightly too wide for it to be like mono compatible. But now that this sound is starting to play, it kind of draws it back into mono compatibility. Hi from Serbia. Hi back to Serbia. Nice to see Serbia here. No, just kidding. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. Not really a fan of the hat being panned to the right here. Seeing as this is probably going to be your main hat, I would probably centralize that. It's one of the important elements of the groove, so you want that to be mono compatible. Right, in the same way that we don't pan our bass line to the left. So now it's actually centralized. That's kind of interesting, having it panned in the intro and then centralizing it like that. Not really a fan of the entire sub of the kick being in the key. I like a little bit more of a punchy kick. Focus a little bit on the loud side. Is it really the kick that is creating this sub over here? So this is the kick, right? And we can see that there's like a strong sub fundamental over here. I'm assuming that this is part of the kick and not the actual bass line, but now that I hear you playing the bass line on top of the kick as well, it may be that you're playing your bass line here. That is probably not a good idea. It does look, if I look at the waveform, that that's part of the kick, right? This is the kick over here. Hello? Yeah. This is the kick over here. I would assume that this is the kick and this is the bass, and it's the subs just look very much the same. But if it is the actual bass line, I wouldn't play my bass line on top of the kick, and I would just have the kick itself coming out. This is very loud. And if this is your kick, then what I would do is have it so that the sub is a little bit more punchy. And right now it's just like a steady sine wave. I would have a little bit more punch of it coming down over here. Overall though, the mix is very well done. Very detailed, a lot of space given to the elements that need it. I like the high frequency. They could get a little bit more air if you want to. You could get a little bit more 10K out of this mix if you really wanted to, if you wanted to have a little bit of extra brightness. But overall it seems to be a little bit of a darker track, so it's not really needed. This one over here, again, a little bit on the loud side. The reason why that one is such an issue is because it's A, very loud, and B, it sits in those harsh frequencies that is like this area over here, the 5 to 10K area. This one as well. This is a little bit on the loud side as well, and it almost ends in the harsh frequencies. So that's going to be really burning to people that listen to it on a big sound system, because those frequencies are going to be amplified to such an extent that it's just going to hurt your ears. This area over here is very important in dance music as well. It's not just the bass, it's not just the high frequencies. The control of the mid-range, in general, even the lower mid-range is very important. But this kind of stuff can really burn you, because we're very sensitive to areas between like 1K and maybe 7, 8K. Because that's the frequencies that babies cry in. Nice little groovy step there. I do like though that the kick and bass is resampled, or at least has given its own pocket. Right, the bass line is not bleeding into the transient of the kick isn't bleeding into the transient of the bass line. So that's nice. That's all very well done. A little bit left of this drink, and then I have to move on to the next one. Listen to how many elements are in this part and how well each element is given its own space. All of those little detailed percussion thingies, all of those little glitchy synth thingies, that kind of stuff. Funny to hear the sounds becoming more mono again. Bit of a strange decision to do that, but it's... I guess it's not wrong. It's a good way to add a little bit more progression to the track. Where can I find your email? Why do you need my email? I'm to be honest, I don't give out my email this much. The email really is for business inquiries, sponsors, companies that I work with, that kind of stuff. If you want to get in contact with me, the best way to do that is to do that through my Discord server. You just join the Discord, right click here, and then it will, for you guys, it will say message, right? If I right click somewhere over here, there's the message thing, and then you can just DM me. I would like to send a track for not finished, but I'm having a problem with kick and bass. To be clear, when I export the track and listen to the track not in Ableton, I don't hear the kick and bass. That's very strange. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe you have a plugin that is causing issues. That is, maybe you're running a demo or something like that, and it doesn't allow exporting. If you do want to email me in regards to some actual business stuff, you can DM me, and then I can send you my email address through DMs, if it ends up being a conversation that needs to be done over Discord. But I prefer if my business email doesn't get too known, I guess, too out there. So yeah, if you want to contact me regarding something, even mixing services, one-on-one lessons, all of the stuff that I do, it's usually better to do that through Discord. Also because I check my Discord much more often than I check my email. I check my email maybe once a day. My Discord is always open on my third monitor. And anytime I get a message, I instantly see it, and I try to react as soon as possible. By the way, another person not using the YouTube chat, but the Discord chat here. It's interesting. What else did I want to say regarding the email? I don't think anything else. No. Regarding the track, I feel like I'm missing something. I need to say something else. There's so many things going on. I have the YouTube chat. I have the track that just played. I have this thing over here. Yeah, I really don't know how I can help you. I cannot look into your project and see what's causing the issue. I guess we'll just have to move on to the next song, which is going to be Guitar Song Rough here. Again, Sarash Aurora, who has been submitting a lot of cool tracks, a lot of cool music. I guess this was his first submission here. You guys can also submit more tracks. At least I tried. What did you try? Is this you? Sweep, is this your track? In that case, if you say at least I tried, then you did do a good job. I like the track. Yeah, please don't communicate through this channel over here. If you want to ask me a question during the stream, please just use the YouTube chat. That is linked to the stream. That is much easier for me. Then I have all of my communications in one place. This is really for submitting your tracks. This is not a chat to projector kind of thing, even though I see it now, because I obviously constantly have to look at it. It is a little bit strange having to deal with actual messages in here as well. The chatting should probably be done in the YouTube chat. So yeah, next up, I'm sorry. I'm doing too many things at once. I'm just going to go back to listening to music. Guitar Song Rough. Let's have a listen. I probably need to boost this one again, don't I? Yeah. I feel like the mid-range here is a little bit clocked. You can see it over here as well. It's like the sub is here and then it goes up again. Usually what you'll find is that the sub is the loudest frequency in a dance music track. So especially here the bass line could be a little bit louder. Even the kick maybe. 1 or 2 dB. But here you can see we have other stuff getting in the way, overtaking the waveform, pushing the waveform up in terms of its amplitude, which normally you don't see in dance music. It tends to be the case that apart from maybe 1 or 2 dB of increase, the main volume is coming from the kick and bass. Which looks like you did clean it here, which is nice. As in this transient, there's no bleeding into it. It's really hard to see here. I guess there is a little bit, maybe. It's hard to see, but it looks like the kick is slightly being pushed up by the end of this waveform. Like this waveform is kind of bleeding into the kick transient here. You don't want that to happen. You want to resample your bassline. If you're still working on this, then it's normal that you haven't resampled yet, because that's something that you tend to do at the end. I like this. I like the speed up in here as well. I hear that you're currently double tracking, but some parts of the guitar aren't like double tracked, where you have one for the left channel and one for the right channel, right? Where you record 2 times the guitar essentially. What you could do is just stereonize the guitar more if it's the mono version. I like it. Very clean. Although the bassline isn't cleaned. Of course, you need to reset. Other than that, the mix is very clean. You're essentially losing a lot of punch because of the lack of cleanliness on the kick and bass. If you resample, you get that punch back, because what essentially happens is the bassline will stop right before the transient of a kick or another bass note, and that gives that transient a little bit more space to be punchy. The other thing that I noticed is that there's like a very strong click for the bass notes here. I think, yeah, this is the kick over here, so this would be a bass note. What I would suggest is low passing your bassline at around 10k, maybe even 8k. That usually tends to result in a nicer click from it. I'm still very curious what Sweep Sweep meant when he said, "At least I tried." Nice transition here as well. I like that little chord step thing. Although it's a little bit on the loud side maybe. We'll have to listen to how the kick and bass comes in here. That first kick is lacking transient for some reason. Maybe an automation is not placed there very well. Yeah, you can see the plug overtaking the waveform entirely. You don't necessarily want that. And in this case, you definitely need to clean up your kick and bass. You can see a lot of bleeding into transients and stuff like that. Although, yeah, even in here, even this kick is kind of being messed up here. It's being pushed down by the fact that this waveform, that the bassline is already down below here with its waveform. So the kick starts from here instead of the silence, meaning that you're losing a lot of the punch because this peak here is going to be pushed out and be compressed by the final limiter that you do when you apply your mastering. And even then, if you stop it right here, let's say that you fade out so that the silence happens here on the kick, what usually tends to happen is that you get a little bit more punch if you move that fade a little bit forward. Say that you were to fade out here, right, and we eliminate this final where it goes away from the silence again and it goes back. If you just fade out so that it stops playing over here and then it's silence, there's this little bit of space, and psychoacoustics work in a way that we then perceive the transient stronger, because the transient is following a little pause of silence there. That's just like a very small trick that you can use to make sure that your bass lines or the punch of your transient stands out a little bit more. And you get that for free if you do it. There's like no real downside to it. It's not like you need that last sub oscillation or any of the bass oscillations that are rolling into the kick drum. Cool stuff. I like it. I like your sound design. I like your composition. I like the guitar part. Overall, very well done. I have to remember to turn it back down the volume, otherwise maybe a next master track will be... yeah, the next track is already mastered, so that would blow our ears out. Anyway, the next track is Light Within, TRKM 16-bit here, by Jewels. Hey man, here a forthcoming track which will soon be released on Xenon Records. Very nice. Tell the people over at Xenon Records that they need to whitelist my channel so that I don't get a copyright claim, because by you posting in here, you do give me full permission to post it on YouTube, meaning that a copy of your track will exist on my channel, and if you submit your music as a release and they put it in the Content ID system on YouTube, my channel will get a claim. So obviously I don't want that, meaning that you'll just have to tell the label who has to tell the distributor to whitelist my channel. That is the term that they need. Yes, I tried to make side techno. I mean, you did well. If this is you, then you did well. Anyway, this is Light Within by that I talked a lot about kick and bass and stuff like that, and the resampling and its importance, and trying to get you guys to understand that as well, why that is important. It's a very, very good track. I do really, really like it. There were a few other things. I think 1 or 2 times I heard a sound that was maybe a little bit on the loud side. But other than that, it's pretty much perfect. The resampling and the few sounds that were a little bit on the loud side. Other than that, it is perfect. Let's see, do we have more music? If not, I might call it for today. This is a very strange stream. I have never seen a viewer graph that looks like this. Keep in mind, it does look a little bit strange because I set up the stream at, what is this, like 12 o'clock or something like that? But the viewer graph normally of my feedback streams looks like this. It shoots up to 20, 25 people, maybe even 30 sometimes, and then it slowly goes down. In this case, it's all over the place. There's this massive dip in here to 7 viewers and back up to 18, and then it just keeps on growing here. I assume the longer I stream, the more viewers I will have, and if I sit here for a few more years, I will have everybody watching my stream, if it just continues to grow like that. What if only peak level is reduced but RMS stays the same? Punch is by definition is determined by peak level. Punch is dynamics, and dynamics is the RMS to peak level difference. So you get punch from being more dynamic, and the way that you get more dynamic is by having more space for the particular element that needs to be there. If there is one element that is already using this much of the dynamics, and you have to squeeze a transient in there, or it's completely silent and you have all of the space for the transient, that transient gets to be more punchy in the part where it has silence. "24-hour stream, I would rather die." The longest I have ever streamed, I think, was 9 hours. The first time I did like a birthday stream. I did like a very long stream to celebrate my birthday, and that was during COVID, in the middle of the lockdown back then, when I was stuck in Hungary, back when I lived in Budapest. Yeah, but you can clip stuff and it sounds the same with less dynamics. It really doesn't though, because the dynamics, the punch comes from the dynamic. It will sound the same in how would you? It will sound the same in terms of its content. It's not like it's distorting the sound if you just clip slightly, right? If you clip off the peaks, as we say, but the actual punch is going to lower in that case. Literally, the definition of punch is a track being more dynamic, right? That's why we dial in the punch with a compressor. Is we dial in the trend. We have a compressor. When you dial in a punchy compressor, what you end up doing is a setting like this, where you have say that we have. I'm just going to set up the compressor. I'm not going to get any material here. If I get a compressor, the way you dial in a punchy compressor is you let some part of the transient through, and then you compress the hell out of the rest of it. Meaning that the difference in level between the transient and the rest of the sound gets bigger. And that therefore it gets more punchy. A setting like this will make your, if it actually, compresses something, if there's actually some gain reduction, it will make your sounds more punchy, because the first part of the kick is not triggering the compressor, therefore it stays at the same level, and then the rest of the kick gets compressed and it gets lowered. So if you have a very flat waveform, any sidetrans kick will do really. Let's go with one of mine. Here. Yeah, let's get with a nice flat one over here. This one is less punchy in terms of like the frequency space that it's using, because obviously we might be compressing a lot though. Yeah, we're compressing 14 dB, so that's a little bit much. Is this one clipping? Ah, this is there's like 1 or 2 kick drums that actually clip in this pack. Notice the difference between, I don't even know if this is going to show up because of the YouTube compression. But this is weighty, right? Because there's more sub bass to it, but the punch, this transient is coming out more, especially if you make up for it. In fact, now we are indeed clipping with this one as well. Do you notice that the transient becomes more prominent this way? Because we are, it's not even maybe that, yeah, the transient does get louder because we're boosting it up, right? But we're doing that by making space, in this case, in the waveform, because the transient isn't at full scale, but this part of the waveform is, and therefore we compress that part of the waveform so that we can push the transient up. That is what, at the end of the day, that is what punch is in a dynamics sense. You can also have punch in a sound design sense, which is the whole idea that we have a sine wave sweeping down, which is essentially what a kick drum is. But go look at any mixing tutorial that features, for example, acoustic drums. There you'll hear it all the time, how the compression on the acoustic drums is very, very important to dial in the exact punch that the drum needs, the exact impact that the drum needs. That is engineer knowledge, very useful. Yeah. It might sound dumb to look at how engineers mix rock music to get ideas for how to mix your sidetrans track, because the genres are so different. But a lot of the underlying theory is still the same, right? Like the definition of punch is the same, the definition of low frequencies is the same for rock music and sidetrans music, even though we treat them differently. There's still differences between like the processing that we do and the way that we mix it. The underlying theory is always the same of what we actually use, right? The EQ never change. Just because you make sidetrans doesn't mean that the functionality of an EQ changes or the terminology of a compressor changes, that kind of stuff. That always stays the same. And the same is true for punchiness. You get more punchiness the more dynamic your track is. Because that's the definition of punch in the dynamics way, right? Not the sound design punch where, again, you have a sine wave sweeping down. That is punch that you get from the sound design. In this case, we're talking about a mixing thing where the punch of a track is really defined at how dynamic are the transients. How much space is given to the transients for them to be louder than the rest of the track. That is in rock music. In sidetrans, obviously, the transient is almost equally loud as the rest of the track, but we get more punch out of it by removing other elements that compete exactly with it. Do we have more tracks? We do have more tracks. Yes, perfect. Okay, so this is Rebirth with Galactic Transcendence. I believe we listened to this already. I can quickly check. No. We haven't heard this before. Maybe I've heard it because you already posted it in the other channel, right? Maybe I've heard. I like the kick and bass. It is resampled. At least the transient is looking fine, so I like that. The kick could be a bit better. The kick has a lot of 400, 500 hertz area. That sounded very distorted a little bit there. I'm also not entirely sure what this arrangement is. Yeah, this is starting to clash as well with some of the more important lower frequencies of your kick and bass there. Gonna be honest, I'm not really a fan of the mix. I again like the kick and bass that you have here, but the rest feels a little bit strange around it. Also, some of the decisions of the writing process are a little bit strange, like that random long pause that we had in the middle, where the kick and bass started playing for like 8 bars and then it stopped again. Now some of the elements that are playing here are a little bit strange. I do like this acid line though. The acid line is sounding nice. I would stop playing it over here though, since you already played it in the last section. Very loud, overpowering delay here. I know, Rebirth, you are very much a beginner, and I know that you produce a relatively large quantity of tracks. At least you used to. You used to have a track like every other day that you would send in the feedback, not the feedback stream, but the feedback channel on my Discord, right, for offline feedback. I feel like maybe spending a little bit more time on each track will benefit you. The other thing is that you need to learn basic structuring, basic mixing. Like we have this constant wall of high frequency noise here in an area that we are very, very sensitive to. I have to turn this down a lot in volume for me, because this is painful to listen to me for, even at the very, very low volume that I'm monitoring. In fact, right now I have it essentially turned off in my headphones. It may be playing at like 10 dB or something like that, because you have a constant noise in the area that we are most sensitive to here. Anybody listening to this in the club will run out. This will hurt them if this is played on the PA system. It's just kind of randomly stopping here. Also, I'm not entirely a fan of this sound design. It sounds like there's somebody crying somewhere. That's kind of what that one pitching sound sounds like here. The open hat sounds very, very crushed. Like, this sound design is cool, what you're doing here. I like this. But it then just stops. I would say you definitely have a lot to learn about how to actually make good danceable music. You're there with the basics of the kick and bass. You're there with some of the sound design that I've heard in here is very good. But overall, the structuring, the mixing, and where elements are placed is very, very important. Some good parts, some need a bit more work. I would say this needs a lot more work. Not just a bit more work, this needs a lot more work. This is definitely a person that is just beginning out with production. And they need to learn a lot more. Like this over here, this delay just completely taking over and distorting everything in its path. It's very strange. And then it's continuing on for such a long time. Again, in an area where we are very, very sensitive to very loud stuff. I may sometimes need a bit, sometimes a little bit negative, but the main times that I do that, when I find myself being negative, is when I hear people constantly making the same mistakes. Even when I give them feedback either on stream or in my Discord. And I think I've given this feedback already a lot to you as well. That you need to slow down, that you need to actually think about what you're doing in terms of placement of the elements, in terms of the functionality of sounds and mixing, in terms of the sounds that work well together when you're sound designing, the selection of samples. We talked about at the very start the distortion that you had in your master limiter, which luckily is gone now here, so that's definitely an improvement there, but there's still definitely a lot more to improve. Honestly, the best tip I can give you at this point is, I'm just gonna say it, purchase my masterclass. My masterclass tackles all of those things. I'm gonna go back to my profile. It's currently on sale, like every other product is of mine. Code SPRINGSALE24 will get you 30% off of the masterclass, of all of these packs that you see over here, of all of the remix packs as well. Even the small packs that I sell for $2 a piece, you'll get 30% off, so you just pay $140 if you really want to. But the main thing I would recommend for you is to get the masterclass, either the video only edition, which is $60, again 30% off of that, so that would be what, like 40 something bucks. And then if you want the full project, if you want all of the stems, and if you want all of that, you definitely don't need to if you're just trying to follow along. But this can be useful for those that want to dive a little bit more deeper and learn a little bit more still. It comes with all of the projects. It comes with, I don't think, it may not include the production project. It may include a version of the production project where I have a lot of the things frozen, because but at least it has the stems, it has the mixing project, and it has the final master project. So it has my master chain, my whole mix for this particular project, so you can follow along in Reaper if you want to as well. Reaper is also just $60, so if you want to open the project, 60 extra bucks, you get to open the mixing project and you get to explore it yourself. Even though I show literally everything on camera, I do edit it down a lot, but I explain everything that I do. And overall, I would just say that this is a very good learning tool, especially for somebody that is in your situation, that has been producing for at least a little while now, that I have seen you in my Discord. But overall, I do think that there's still a lot more room for improvement. Just have to be that honest here. Don't beat around the bush. It can be improved quite a lot. Time to hit the couch. Have fun, y'all. Thank you. I'm also going to probably close after this last track that is over here. So I'm just going to close the queue here for today. And over here, yeah. Because I have been live for 3.5 hours. We have one more track to listen to. I find the problem, there's a lot of job to do it. Face, etc. I know, looking forward to your advice. Let's have a listen. Long time no see. Long time no see indeed, Quing. I always had trouble with your name. I don't remember the other name, but I do remember that it's for something else, right? Oh, it doesn't play. Okay. This is The Enchanted Stream by Hirezumi. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. You guys know that mispronouncing is one of my staples on this stream here. Mispronouncing names. A little bit too wide, I would argue, for the sound over here in terms of its stereo width. Maybe make it a little bit more mono so that you sit over here. As I said, for individual sounds it can be okay, but for a full mix you essentially want to stay in this area over here. A little bit more towards the mono than the stereo side. You don't want things actively cancelling. And you had a point where it was like over here. If it were played on a mono club system, you would notice, hey, the volume would dip because it started to cancel so much. I'm not really sure if I'm a fan of the happy melody together with the very dark atmosphere. It sounds a little bit off. I was gonna make it. I think I should make the joke. It sounds like Hitler selling you ice cream, in that it's a very dark thing and a very bright thing together. This track is definitely trying to be dark with the kick and bass that it has, so just drop the happy melody, right? Tell Hitler to drop the ice cream. It's a bad joke, I know. I'm sorry. But it is a good way, a good metaphor of saying it, in that you have two things that don't really match together. In this case, it's all very dark on the bass line as well here. Very strange punch. Why is the bassline pitching? Do you see how here the waveform is faster than it is over here? That's not... I mean... It sounds really strange. I would probably not do this. I would probably just go with a normal kick and bass or normal bass line, where you're just modulating the filter cutoff instead of the pitch for some reason. Also, this transient is looking a little bit dull. It could be louder. It should also probably be cleaned, but that's another thing for another time, the whole bass line. At this point, you should probably make sure that you just have a normal sounding bass line. In this case, you have a delay that looks very stereo. That is what I was looking for here on this analyzer. But that's okay. That's no issue. That delay that will cancel in mono a little bit. Okay. I talked about before how you can use that effect to your advantage if you go back into the stream a little bit.
Death is in our air, in sea and earth. Just remember, we live and we die. We control nothing beyond that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this kick and bass. Sounds very odd to me. And now we have some hardstyle leads. Synths over here that are a little bit too loud. And now we have synths over here that are very loud. I do like the overall dark atmosphere that you're managing to bring in here. I would say that it sounds very good. It's just the kick and bass has some issues, and you had in the intro, you had one very happy melody which just feels off now hearing how the whole track is about like very dark sound design and some very dark vocals, a very dark kick and bass. So that just sounded off. Overall, I like the idea. I like where you're going with this. I think that last part isn't finished yet, but if you do finish that, really turn down those high frequency shaker thingies. Maybe by like 8 dB, something like that. Because they are, again, one of those things that can get really harsh here. And if you look how harsh it is here, how harsh it is here, and there's nothing in the middle. Sorry, the autoplay is annoying. There's like nothing in between, right? Oh my god, I hate your SoundCloud. Overall, I would say this has a lot of work to do. A lot more work. But this is at least getting to an idea that is going to be okay. In terms of the sound design for your all of the synths that you're doing and all of that kind of stuff. As I said, there were a few odd choices. That one hardstyle synth also sounded a little bit off, and mainly the happy melody in the beginning of the track really doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of the track. Yes, it's not finished. Yeah, I could see it. It just kind of cuts out in the middle. I do hope that my feedback was helpful. I was a little bit more negative towards the end of the stream in terms of having to give feedback and not saying liking as many things. Don't take that. Hopefully you guys don't take that personally, and we all just take it up as adults. I always say, I haven't said it this stream yet, and I might stop doing it and just start talking a little bit more positively about the tracks in general. At least for every track, point out at least like 3-4 things that I actually like about the track. But when it comes to my feedback, I don't try to be overly negative. I try to be overly quiet. And that means that if I just sit here and say, I like that, I like that, I like that thing, that's not really valuable feedback. It's more, at least in my opinion, it would be more valuable for me to be as quiet as possible, let the chat and let the other people listen to the track and also give them a chance to really absorb what the track is doing and allow them to give feedback as well and give their opinion. I think that's more important than me just constantly talking over the track and pointing out things that aren't necessarily really helpful for your process of actually learning to improve your music production, either the production that you are currently showing me or any future productions that you may have. Like was the case with the production, with the track before the track that you submitted, Marco. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope that the feedback was useful, even though it was a little bit negative towards the end there. It's usually not nice to do that, to end on such a negative note, so I'm a little bit upset, but that just sometimes happens. Sometimes you have a song where you have to be, I say more negative, but just point out more criticisms and say like, really, the music that you have here, like really is far from what people consider professional music. Hey, brother, are you going to stay on for a while? I was actually finishing off the stream. I'm sorry, man. I really appreciate you joining as well, seeing your name again as well. But I was actually... It is strange. I had much fewer viewers today than I had normally. I had much fewer viewers in the last 2 streams, the one that I did on Friday and the one that I did yesterday as well. The channel itself isn't performing the best, and at the beginning I asked if everybody had received their notification for the stream, and people said that while they usually do receive notifications, in this case they hadn't received a notification for the stream. And I've noticed it because my viewer numbers have been just too low for a stream like this. It should have been double. We shouldn't have gotten to the 30, 35 viewers like we usually do on the feedback stream, at least at some point. But the maximum that we hit right now is 20. So that's just not good. I have to find out what's happening here. I have to see what's going on. Anyway, as I said, ending a little bit negative. I'm sorry for that. I don't like to do that, but sometimes that just happens. And I hope that you guys nonetheless enjoyed the stream. And I hope to see you in the next one, which will be probably 1 or 2 during the week as usual. I'll post a few hours in advance. I'll post the notification so that you guys can hit the reminder. Please do that so that you don't miss it. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'll see you guys then.